I'm Jim Kircher. We're in a place we call the NineLAB. Here at the Nine Network, for the past 6 years, we've been opening our doors to members of the community from throughout the region for training in video production, helping them to learn the creative art of digital storytelling. And tonight we have a film from two of our community producers. It's about a group of local artists who've been working with young people, helping them to express themselves in a number of ways. And it's about the connection between art and healing in a time of trauma and social change. We'll talk to the community producers about why they do what they do, but first, here's their film, entitled Art Bridge.
Art is so powerful, and especially as a vehicle for social change. Art builds community.
What happened on August 9th was a traumatic experience, and seeing those images on the news of the Quick Trip burning, people looting stores that are in their neighborhood.
Trauma is defined as a distress situation that can happen in one's life. On August 9th, I can remember being at home, learning of the shooting of Michael Brown via social media, just being stunned, almost numb by the situation. No, it wasn't the first time you had heard of this. No, it wasn't the last time we have heard of this, but it was something about this situation and the way our city was galvanizing, especially on social media as a platform. Like, I had never seen anything happen before, that you knew that this was going to be different, powerful, impactful, and we would never quite be the same again.
It's not that they didn't know it already, but what happened with Mike Brown on August 9th definitely raised the stakes. Artists as Tutors is a program to help kids with their grades after school. Our main goal for them, just to give them options in life, is to help them with their grades, because better grades will give them more options to go to school. If they can go to school, more options professionally and things like that. But at the end of the day, these kids have been through something traumatic, and if they want to talk to somebody, talking to their friends could be beneficial, but talking to an adult that may have a better understanding that's not their parent, I think is beneficial. Since we have artists as tutors, we want to implement structured art time so that the artists can teach their craft to the kids, and the kids can have something else besides homework to do after school that can stimulate their mind, maybe in ways that motivate them to want to do their homework and get their schoolwork done too. Some kids will draw a cop. I asked a little girl named Aaliyah why she drew a cop, and she said that she wanted to be one when she grew up. And I asked her why, and she didn't know, but I have a feeling it's because she wants to see people that care about her community policing the community. But then you have other kids that will draw a police officer or somebody shot in their drawing, and you can tell it's more because they want to express that trauma in a way that is not talking to their parents or talking to a teacher or something like that. I won't pry or push to ask about why they drew it, but you know when there's some sadness and sorrow behind it.
Actually, Erin, who's over Food Spark, her and Dee and Sophie had contacted me looking for a venue to host and exhibit Food Spark artwork, which was artwork created by residents of Ferguson, Dalewood, and South St. Louis City.
The Food Spark, Erin, one of our tutors, and also another artist, runs that program with some other artists, Dee Nichols and Sophie Lippman, and they have these conversations, these dinner conversations about race and entitlement and things like that. And at those programs, they have like blank placemats, and they have walls where you can put up magazine clippings and art, different pieces, pictures from magazines and things like that.
And so I thought it was only fitting for Food Spark to bring that exhibit here, because that's one of our missions, is to be a voice for the unheard and the underserved and underprivileged.
Erin had the wall in her car when she came to tutor one day, and so she thought it would be a good idea for the kids to fill in the blank space that had been left from the previous Food Spark, and so they did. And some of the things were surprising, some of the things weren't surprising that they put up, but like it was all very expressive and a lot more emotive than I think we could have bargained for.
Well, I like Artists for Tutors because it gives me a voice and it makes me express myself. Like, I'm not really an artistic person, but it makes me express my feelings and put them, sometimes it may not always be on paper, but it always gives me like a voice to tell other people, tell them how I'm feeling and express my feelings.
The art is the essence of communication with various disciplines.
It was a piece, it was on our art wall, and it was a quote, and it's a saying, it is said that these times may be uncertain, but we're not. And the reason I did that piece was to let, it says a message inside, and it tells a message, and it says that some times may be bad, but they're not always going to be bad. And they're not always going to be bad.
It gives a voice to those who feel otherwise that they have no voice, especially to children and the youth of our community, because they're not politically inclined or they're not belonging to a society or a circle of social activists and things of this nature. So they speak a whole different language. They speak the common language, however, in a whole different medium.
What I enjoy about Artists for Tutors is because it gives me a chance to look at good art that exposes me to stuff that I like.
A young girl named Robin put up something about a young black man and him not wanting to get shot. And I didn't think that they would express that so blatantly. I thought they might be a little bit more subtle in the message.
I'm a very artistic person and a creative person, and to see and read that what other people put, it inspires me to do other stuff, because my art teacher at school, he's a very good art teacher, and he helps me like learn how to do some of that stuff. And so I like to draw and I like to color and stuff, and then when I come here, it inspires me more to do more stuff, and I really want to go home right now and make something.
Some other kids put up things like, we want the world to get along and things along that theme. And I guess I didn't feel like they were registering these things as deeply as they actually were and could express in their own art. And so it wasn't troubling, it was actually kind of hope inspiring to see that, because if they're thinking about that deeply now, then maybe they'll grow up to be adults that address that in the future.
I found that art has always been the medium of choice for youth, especially to get their points across and to voice their concerns. Because many of us, especially as youth, we're all born artists.
Very important. Just like the civil rights movement that you were talking about. Well, who do you think was really behind the driving force behind that movement? It was the youth. It was the teenagers and the youth who were doing the protesting, who were doing the sit-ins, who were doing the marching and the walkouts and things of that nature, exercising their voices, voting, things of this nature, making sure they got the right people in office who made a difference. Okay? So you have to be vigilant about your voice and the things you have to do as a citizen, okay, to protect your community.
The more that people become aware of this idea of how art can really be a response to what's happening in our community and what we can do to change it, the better off our city will be.
Every era and every age is defined by the art that's created during that time period. When civilizations, and I repeat this all the time, when civilizations are lost, it's always the artifacts that are dug up that define that civilization or the people who existed.
I think that people that learn music and people that learn art are better critical thinkers when they're adults. So I would like to see that these students all become better critical thinkers, and that leads them to either do some community organizing or run for office, or even go into law enforcement after all the things that have happened to them over their lifetime, and just in the traumatic wake of August 9th.
It takes art to have those moments in time. When I think of some of the arts projects that are happening around town, and I think of the people that are stopping and taking a look, again, a sense of community is felt there as well. Again, beyond the art making, the community sense really should happen even with those that are experiencing the art.
Today we're having, the Commission's having our second Youth Speak, and this time it's going to be bigger and better than ever because it's going to be an Art Speak. Young people are going to express their concerns and feelings of how they want to see change in their communities, in their schooling, through art.
Art Speaks was a event sponsored by the Ferguson Commission, and the idea behind Art Speaks was to let the youth express their voice in a different way through the arts.
I'm the visual art facilitator, and we're creating boxes that give an idea of how youth feel being boxed in, being their voices being heard and unheard as it relates to Art Speak and the mission with Ferguson Commission.
We have the youth here, man, and I have the honor to be working with the youth, you know what I mean? They really got something, and they got a gift, and it's just phenomenal working with them, and also inspiring as well, man. Being able to assist and tap in that diamond mine, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just naturally smiling at the moment of like, it's crazy, man, limitless.
I am a poetry / spoken word arts facilitator. And my hope for the day is that the youth will produce something representative of their voice. You know, we're going to learn about the history of art and social justice movements, but also where they feel that their place is. And if they don't feel like they have a place, maybe explore why that is, and maybe they can find one.
Some of the experimenting that we'll do is from Theater of the Oppressed, which is a style and a concept of using theater to help look at some social issues, which is, of course, is something that we'll be doing today.
What's something you'd improve about your hometown, St. Louis, if you could?
Stop the killing. Stop the killing. The problem is, I'm always wondering what's going to happen next. What's the next hashtag? Like, what's the next? And that's bad to think that way, because it seems like something's always happening.
That racism wasn't as big as it is, and that people could realize that stuff like this does happen, and it's not just a black problem, it's a every race problem.
St. Louis is a very segregated kind of area, and I would definitely integrate it a little more and just make it so that people could know different people. I know we kind of stick to our counties, and so I would just get rid of the whole West County, North County sort of thing.
Lots of people here that I know have experienced personally racism and being a victim of police brutality. And it's a pretty common thing.
I don't know why though. I don't know why people choose to destroy each other's lives and break families apart.
I'll never forget the grip, like the tight grip they had on your wrist, trying to pull away.
We did a lunch sit-in, so after lunch we just stayed in lunch for like 20 minutes.
You did a sit-in at lunch? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it was pretty cool, but that was the only protest that they allowed to happen. After that, like pretty much anywhere to Ferguson, we would get suspended. So
you would get suspended?
Yeah, and I couldn't risk that, so.
You said the word Ferguson, you would be suspended?
To an extent, like we could say the word Ferguson, but if you like said anything about your opinion on what happened, if you were just like having a conversation about it with your friends, you weren't having it.
And my mom was kind of scared because there was like officers on one side with camera, batons, and mace, and then there was the officers on another side with wooden batons. And so my mom kind of wanted me to stay back, but I went. And you could see this one officer, this lady was praying with this one officer, and he just started to cry. Like tears just streamed down his face. And he said he was sorry, but I never really understood what he said he was sorry for. That was gonna get to me.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I realized he was, I guess, saying sorry for the whole Ferguson Police Department for how they treated us and how they tear gassed us for so long.
So you experienced the tear gas? it's all about.
It's definitely been interesting coming here and being able to connect with several other young people, students, college students, and seeing them speak on ways they've been affected since August 9th and put their frustrations into the reform process and the healing process through arts, through music, through visuals. It's empowering, you know, to know that so many young people still care and are still out here wanting change for their community.
I must admit, I'm a product of Ferguson School District, so I think back to what August 9th would look like for me as a high school student, because they did cancel class for us. And I would always think, wow, what type of an impact? I know I had no idea that in middle schools they were doing sit-ins at lunch. I don't know if you knew about that, and you know what I'm saying? So it's powerful to know how much it impacted even 12, 13-year-old young people, right? That's incredible.
Part of the commission's charge is to be unflinching. And so the idea was, what does unflinching look like? And we wanted to see if the youth could reflect that in the things that they did.
Unflinching. You know, when I first heard the term, I thought about when my brother and I were younger and he used to jump at me, you know, to see if I would flinch. And it's kind of like that. It's being resilient in the face of struggle, of tragedy, of oppression. And even if, you know, you feel like you want to move in a certain way, you kind of stand your ground, keep your back straight, and look towards the positive side of things, and do what you can to, you know, activate that change.
Standing your ground almost, you know what I mean? But like, also just trusting yourself as well, you know? And I might take a metaphoric sense to it as well, as in like flinching, as in, you know, as hesitation at the same time.
You know, if it's your idea, stand on it, be brave on it, and own it, and don't let go of it. And it's something that, hopefully in the recommendations, we need a lot of unflinching, bold recommendations, and hopefully the young people will be able to provide those bold, unflinching changes we need in our city.
Flinching, I think, is like not holding your stance and kind of being easily moved and influenced.
To me,
Yeah.
the revolution will not be televised.
That is not what it means to you. That was great. What does it mean to you? To not move like in fear, but like in courage, I'm guessing. To not move in fear. There we go. What does it mean to you?
To be brave and accept consequences for what you do and still do it anyway.
Yeah.
To me, it's like being rebellious and not afraid to take a chance, or just like you're not scared.
Well, like out protesting, they want, the police officers will want you to be scared, and so flinching will kind of be like scared to go up to the police officers and scared to actually do what you feel is right. And so unflinching, I just think that you're bold enough to go out and protest, and you're bold enough to go to the police face and say, hey, you guys are doing this to our community and you need to stop.
I think of unflinching as, even for a group that may seemingly be oppressed, to say enough is enough. I want more, better is out there, and really just to have the courage and the momentum to keep at it and keep going, and they're clearly unflinching, young ladies, for sure.
I had a point in my head right now. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called I Stand Proud. A basketball player, a comedian, an actor, whatever I am, I stand proud. You see, the world wants you to take it, but you have to be prepared to take it. I am a survivor. Yes, I went through some trials and some tribulations, but I stand proud through it. I know one thing. We're a giant tree, just like a family. We can say joy is coming one day in the future. And when it does, I'm going to stand proud.
I wish adults would trust and understand, and try to understand youth.
I really wish adults would trust youth a lot more and give us more opportunities to speak our minds.
Well, adults, they always say, I was a teenager once. I know how it is.
but it's a different time, I think.
We know more than what they think we know. Say for instance, the adult might say, you don't understand why people out there protesting, you'll understand when you're older. But being a protester, I understand, and I mean, I know why I'm protesting.
I really wish adults would, like,
show respect.
respect to whom?
Respect to anyone. Adults, they really don't respect the children. How do you expect someone to respect you if you don't respect them?
I knew that the young people would come in and have a lot of things to say. So even in my prep work, I found myself wanting to prepare more than necessary. And I had to just, that's just the educator in me. I had to say, no, this isn't about the adults. It really is about youth and giving them the opportunity to speak however they see fit.
I think we accomplished, at least in, and just by the in performances, I would make this assumption, but I know in poetry we accomplished establishing that it's your destiny, it's your process, it's your work, it's your voice, and you have the power to shape and to create and to shape your own narrative.
Never underestimate young people and thinking that they may not be ready or they don't understand what's going on, because in hindsight, we be paying attention. We know what's going on. Don't take our voice for granted. We want to be heard, and our opinion and our voice matters.
Listen to the youth. Listen to them, man. They are, everybody's always talking about how, they're the leaders of tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Leaders of today, man. They're the future of today, man, and they really have it. We need to lend them all of our support, all of our ears, everything that we can do to help their mission come across, because that's what it's really going to take to change the world, man. That's simple.
Being that the Ferguson movement is a youth-led movement, a lot of adults tend to think that we aren't so in tune with the issues that are going on. We're in tune because we're affected by the issues, right? So a lot of conversations I'm having with students that are here today are, what needs to happen next in the movement. What issues should we focus on? Should we continue to protest? Should we, vote? Should we go to the legislature? And just really seeing people's mind frame of where we're at right now and where we need to go. It's really interesting.
I don't know. Like, what is next? It's hopefully it gets better, and next is good.
One thing that I really noticed today is that despite all of the fighting and the progress we made over the last 10 months, some students still feel marginalized. Some young people still feel marginalized because of their age. They feel like people tell them, hey, you're too young, you don't know anything. Instead of tearing down young people, how about you build them up? Center your work around these young people, because these young people are the ones that matter. These young people are the ones who will be the next presidents, the next doctors, the next teachers. Center your work around them, uplift them, and amplify their voices.
So joining us are the folks who worked on the film Art Bridge, Corinne McAfee, Chris Renteria, and Mike Pagano, who also runs NineLAB here at the Nine Network. What's driving this particular film? I mean, what inspired you guys to get out there and do this?
The biggest inspiration was the people's story. So when I say people, the youth of St. Louis, I think there's a lot of coverage from the media as far as the really aggressive and violent nature of some of the responses to the protests and things that have happened in St. Louis. And every time that I've been out there since August 10th shooting, one of the things that really stood out to me is the personal touch with the community. It's a human story. It's not just pictures on TV.
I see from this film and some of the other things that have been done, Corinne, I'm really impressed with a lot of these young people. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but to some extent I am.
I am too. I mean, I've been amazed by sort of, I don't want to say sophistication because I think that's wrong, but the willingness they have to authentically express what's going on with them and to stand up and speak their truth to whoever's around them, to authority, to adults, to other kids, and to engage that and look for carrying it forward. I think it's amazing.
I wasn't surprised so much as how honest they were and how forthcoming. It was just a real awakening to the fact that they have a different realization of what life is than I think a lot of people that are fortunate that don't have to deal with a lot of that are accustomed to. And so for them, it's very much real life.
Yeah, Mike, the NineLAB, I think, is a fascinating, I won't call it an experiment because it's not an experiment anymore, but it does this very thing, which is bring in a lot of people and, well, you tell me.
I think the NineLAB in part is a place to invite community to come in and learn a creative process. In this case, it's the creative process of video storytelling, video production, digital storytelling. We really want to empower our whole community to be better storytellers.
So for me, I actually found out about it, I think on Facebook, and then I connected with Mike about joining up. But I really didn't know what to expect from the lab other than I knew the reputation of Nine Network, and I was very interested in producing more video content and having the access to do that. There's a lot of group meetings and pitches and things of that nature, and it really opened up my mind to a lot of things that maybe had been kind of pushed to the corner for a little bit.
And you know, it's just a wonderful opportunity to tell stories that didn't have a preconceived agenda, that got people in the community's voice out who might not otherwise be heard, and you know, and to learn some skills myself in editing and filming. It was really just a tremendous opportunity.
I think there's a lot of stories out there, and I think that the more people that know how to facilitate that themselves personally or by helping somebody get that story out there, I think is a tremendous value.
Well, thanks for bringing the film Art Bridge to us. Mike Pagano, who's one of the producers and runs the NineLAB, Chris Renteria, and Corinne McAfee. Again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.